In a cornucopia of bad decisions, I wound up with a metal pole in my leg. I was at my dad's farm for the summer, and he had purchased a vehicle for $50 and a case of beer, which is pretty much legal tender in Canada. So we decided to race, Dad on his quad, and me in this Jeep on a gravel road in the middle of nowhere. Don't worry, it gets worse. We're pretty much neck and neck when I finally started to pull ahead, and I realize I do not have control of this steel coffin that's now hurtling down a gravel road at an estimated 50 kilometers an hour. Now, I should have gently eased on the brake, and I would have eventually come to a stop. However, I did not. My thoughts were, if I hit the brake, I would skid out on gravel and could possibly hit my dad. But if I turn the wheel as far as I can and aim for the ditch, perhaps I would safely land in the tall grass. So I yelled, "I'm crashing," in which I can only assume was a scene that looked like, "I'm crashing." So now I'm hanging by my seatbelt in a sideways car, waiting for my head to stop spinning, as my dad, who's on the verge of a frickin' heart attack, is struggling to set me free. So he says, in all seriousness, "Wait here, I'll be back." And I'm left alone to assess my situation. One of my legs is hanging near my head with the stability of a pool noodle. And I think, oh, that's not good. And I experiment with wiggling my toes just to make sure everything's still attached, which it is. It's just now my bone structure is that of a Muppet. So eventually my dad comes back, and after cutting me free, I fall into a heap on the ground. And if you're about to ask if I just tried to catch myself on my now broken leg, the answer is yes. And I will refer you back to my opening statement about the cornucopia. I crawl over the seat. Once freed, I miraculously got myself into my dad's truck, which is really impressive as he had one of those penis-extending lifted trucks. And to this day, no one is quite sure how I got in there by myself. And thus starts the almost 2-hour drive to the hospital. When we finally got to the hospital, a paramedic introduced himself to me before politely asking how I got in the vehicle. And because I was high on adrenaline and also a little shit, I replied, "I don't know, but it's your job to get me out." "Fair enough," he says, and proceeds to put an oxygen mask on me. A significant amount of time later, I'm in a hospital bed in a hallway crying because the nurse cut my favorite shorts off. Even though I insisted I could just pull them off and save them, no, she cut them. When one of the two paramedics at the foot of my bed looks back at me and casually asks, "How long has she been breathing that gas?" the other one turns to me and hurriedly says, "Honey, take that mask off right now." Eventually, the doctor shows up to explain that despite the femur being the strongest bone in the body, I snapped it clean in half like a tablet pen when a program crashes and I haven't saved in 6 hours. So he says they're going to drill out my bone marrow, insert a metal pole, screw it into place, staple the wound shut, and send me on my way in a matter of 3 days. So I say, "Let me see the pole you're going to put in my leg." And he tells me, no, that's unsanitary, which is kind of bullshit. It's my germs that are going to be on it anyway. It's going in my leg. But whatever, fine. I go to surgery and I tell the nurse, before she puts me out, I want to see the pole they're going to put in my leg. And she goes, "I'll tell you what, if you can count backwards from 10, I'll show you the pole," which is the easiest thing ever and obviously not a scheme. So I go 10, 9, 8, and it dawns on me I'm very tired and I am about to pass out, and this was all just a clever ruse. So I go, "Oh, you bitch." But I bet all she heard was, "Oh, you." 3 days later, I hobbled out of the hospital, still never seeing that damn pole. But I guess it doesn't suck that much. I mean, technically I'm part cyborg now. So then another hazy amount of time later, I'm with the physiotherapist. And he's all like, "Hey, we got to get you up and walking." And I went, "I don't know if you know this, but I just got out of a fucking surgery. No way in hell, motherfucker." And he goes, "Pshaw, get your ass up." I might just end it on after the surgery.